Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Left at Z channel. Before we get started here today, I just wanted to give a quick thank you to everyone that watched my last video. It is by far my most successful at over 1.2 thousand views. It popped off like crazy. I had no idea that was going to happen. So thank you to everyone that shared it and watched it. If you had looked at the comments of that video, you may have noticed that it was sort of overrun with Ben Shapiro fans. So I guess if you want to go look at some bad takes, that you can go look in that comment section of my last video. But still, I'm proud to have that many views, even if there's a ton of dislikes as well, which you can't see anymore, but I'll be open about it. It seems like a bunch of people got into that video and started hating on it because probably because they're Ben Shapiro fans, but also either way, that's in the past now. I'm gonna keep making videos. The haters can come at me all they want. I'm just doing this for fun and because I think it's important to talk about these topics and hopefully to have some fun while doing it. Anyway, today we're talking about Andrew Tate. And originally I was gonna go to his website and, do the classic reacting to one of his videos and debunking things and stuff like that. But I kind of want to take this topic a little bit more seriously. So today we're actually reading an article from The Guardian. Not my favorite news source, but definitely one of the better ones out there, I would say. But anyway, today I think that this should be a decent one. It is written by Shanti Das, so thank you very much to this author. Of course, journalists work very, very hard and have a very important job. So, we're going to engage with her work here and see what conversations we can get from this, because obviously Andrew Tate is a very big figure right now. It's sort of died off ever since he kind of got deplatformed off of everything. And we can definitely have a conversation about deplatforming and censorship and stuff like that. Just to give my quick opinion, someone like Andrew Tate, I'm pretty much all for having dissenting and wrong and even slightly dangerous opinions online. However, there is a line that has been crossed, I think, with Andrew Tate, in that he is, as we're going to see in this article, actually a criminal and actually a horrible person that probably should not actually be allowed to engage with society. But we're going to get to that. Anyway, if you know who Andrew Tate is, then you probably don't need much of an introduction into who he is. And if you like Andrew Tate, well, try to stick around. I know that this might be a hard video for you to watch, but if you are watching this and you want to come in with an honest look to see what this person can really be like, then obviously I want you to be in here. And I think that it's important we have a conversation about the ways in which this sort of style of content and this sort of style of misogynistic rhetoric isn't just, not good for women and, feminine presenting people, but also is straight up dangerous. And unfortunately, it's also dangerous to the young men that Andrew Tate tries to get into his ring. And yeah, we're going to talk all about that. Let's get started. So like I said, this is written by Shanti Das. The title is Inside the Violent Misogynistic World of TikTok's New Star, Andrew Tate, which Andrew Tate says women belong in the home, can't drive, and are a man's property. Off to a great start. As far as I know, this is really not a mischaracterization. There are plenty of clips out there of Andrew Tate saying these types of things, especially like that women can't drive or that are overall worse drivers than men, which is just statistically untrue. That's kind of besides the point, but let's keep going because it starts to get heavier. Oh, I did forget to make a trigger warning we are going to be talking about rape and assault and violence against women in general and misogyny. He also thinks rape victims must bear responsibility for their attacks and dates women aged 18 to 19 because he can make an imprint on them, according to videos posted online. And this is where things get very dangerous really quickly. Obviously, blaming the victim and blaming a rape victim and saying that they need to bear responsibility, completely absurd. I don't care. No matter how you're dressing, no matter how you are acting, you should never have sex with another person unless you get consent from them. There is a fine line here that, if they simply are not fighting back, that's still not necessarily consent. Either way, blaming rape victims immediately just a horrible thing to do and leads to more people getting raped. I don't think that there's really any way to work around that fact that, when we underestimate or overestimate how much responsibility a rape victim has in being assaulted like that, I don't think that that only breeds more misogyny and breeds more violence against women is okay, or anyone. Remember, anyone can be raped as well, and so it's really just a horrible nuclear grade bad take. Also, yeah, Andrew Tate says that he dates women aged 18 to 19 because he can make an imprint on them. Of course, dating younger women, they are more vulnerable. I'm only 22, and I would definitely say that I'm more vulnerable to manipulation and stuff like that than someone older. But of course, with 18 and 19-year-olds, it's even more so that way, and obviously there's a lot of exploitation that can go on, and I think we'll get to the fact that Andrew Tate is literally exploiting these women. In other clips, the British-American kickboxer, who poses with fast cars, guns, and portrays himself as a cigar-smoking playboy, talks about hitting and choking women, trashing their belongings, and stopping them from going out. These are just all horrible things. Obviously, the image that he's propped up about himself is meant to attract a male audience that, likes to imagine themselves having fast cars and cool guns and be the cigar-smoking playboy one day. That's what a lot of these young men in his audience wants to be. And unfortunately, that is tied alongside violence against women and controlling women and trying to be possessive over them when they really, obviously, I feel like most people should know that women and everyone else are independent people, and you shouldn't stop your partner from seeing other people, like seeing their friends and stuff like that. That's just absolutely cruel, abusive, manipulative, and it's, again, this misogynistic idea that is being pushed onto young men and could lead them to endangering their partners. And yeah, just overall, really not good things to be spreading on the internet. And it can lead to a lot of people getting hurt and even people being killed. It's bang out in the machete, boom in her face, and grip her by the neck. Shut up, bitch, he says in one video, acting out how he'd attack a woman if she accused him of cheating. I don't care what your thoughts are on cheating. I think that cheating is definitely bad. You've betrayed someone's trust in a big way, as long as you previously established that you are supposed to be exclusive. But hopefully everyone sane here knows that threatening someone with a machete is not the way that you handle this situation. This is how a unstable 12-year-old handles the situation. And boom in her face, grip her by her neck, shut up, bitch. I think that this sort of rhetoric it hopefully is quickly becoming more and more apparent to anyone who hasn't heard about this side of Andrew Tate, that he is advocating for violence against women. And this is just, I don't know what sort of context you can give to this that makes it okay. I don't think there is one. Again, it's scary to see that the young male audience that he has are being exposed to this kind of rhetoric and sort of being desensitized to it in a way. And again, that could lead to violence against women perpetuating through the future. Obviously, it's something that has existed as long as patriarchy has existed, but it's just really sad to see how explicit people are willing to still be about being violent against women. And we need to seriously change some things about our culture. And the fact that Andrew Tate was able to get as popular as he was it's a scary thing, I think. Let's keep moving, though. In another video, he describes throwing a woman's things out of the window. In a third, he calls an ex-girlfriend who accused him of hitting her, an allegation he denies, a dumb hoe. Which, if you are literally saying and advocating for hitting women because they accuse you of cheating, I don't think that it's a stretch to possibly believe that this ex-girlfriend of his was hit. And calling her a dumb hoe is just, again, an exposure of the misogyny that he has. This is someone that he presumably had a relationship with, and, calling her names behind their back is, again, just, it's childish, really, and immature and dangerous, and I guess in that way, worse than childish, and we have to call it out when we see it. And thankfully, there was a lot of people that called out Andrew Tate. Obviously, he doesn't have as big a platform anymore. But again, we have to be on the lookout for more people like this that are willing to use this type of language when talking about women. And again, it just spreads violence and continues misogyny that ends up hurting people. Tate's views has been described as extreme misogyny by domestic abuse charities, capable of radicalizing men and boys to commit harm offline. And that's exactly what I was just saying. But the 35-year-old is not a fringe personality lurking in an obscure corner of the dark web. Instead, he is one of the most famous figures on TikTok, where videos of him have been watched 11.6 billion times. And yeah, again, this is why I wanted to look at this article rather than, just debunking one of his videos, because I think this person is dangerous. And I think that we need to have a more nuanced and a more serious conversation about, how are we letting someone like this get this popular? Because he is actively advocating for violence against women, and yet we somehow don't have, we didn't have the capability and the cultural structures to stop him from rising to fame. Styled as a self-help guru, offering his mostly male fans a recipe for making money, pulling girls, and escaping the matrix, Tate has gone in a matter of months from near obscurity to one of the most talked about people in the world. And again, yeah, I'm sort of repeating myself, I feel like, but let's also talk about a little bit the making money schemes that he has. They might talk about Hustlers University soon, that is just, again, exploitative of even his own fans, trying to use people's financial insecurity, I guess you could say, to try to get them to watch more of your stuff, buy your stuff, when if you need to make money, unfortunately, we live under capitalism, and the way to do that is by either working or owning parts of companies. And, I'm not a financial guru or anything like that, but I'm going to guess that Andrew Tate's advice is not great. I don't know. I'm just going to guess it's not great. Pulling girls, again, the idea of picking up girls, pulling girls, picking up chicks, it's misogynistic at its core. And of course, hookup culture, I think, is fine when it's consensual and, everyone is expecting to, hook up and possibly never see each other again. That's totally fine. That's within people's rights. But the way that Andrew Tate talks about these things and the way that it's framed as pulling girls really starts to remove the agency from the women's side. And we'll also have to look out to see how often he refers to women as girls, which, I mean, like, isn't a huge problem, I don't think. I think that it can be overblown, but it's definitely something that um, contributes to the infantilization of women as well. And finally, escaping the matrix, this is where it just starts to get kind of ridiculous. You're not going to be escaping any matrix by listening to someone that is defending patriarchy. Patriarchy is the matrix, and escaping the matrix by running to Andrew Tate is only going to embed yourself more and more into harmful ideologies and harmful power structures. His rapid surge in fame was not by chance. Evidence obtained by The Observer shows that followers of Tate are being told to flood social media with videos of him, choosing the most controversial clips in order to achieve maximum views and engagement. And this is definitely something that I think in social media we have to start to think about how we address and how we try to solve the issue of, which is that controversial and intentionally divisive rhetoric is able to get a lot of steam and traction, and it can lead to a lot of these rabbit holes and radicalization pipelines that we can see on the internet. And again, Andrew Tate's just kind of one of those, but it's possibly one of the more dangerous examples I've seen. Dangerous in that it could lead to direct harm of other people, not just harm to the people watching it. The coordinated effort involving thousands of members of Tate's private online academy, Hustlers University, and a network of copycat accounts on TikTok has been described by experts as a blatant attempt to manipulate the algorithm and artificially boost his content. And that's kind of what I was saying as well, is like, I don't think social media is sophisticated enough to deal with these sorts of coordinated, you could almost say, attacks on the algorithm. And again, like, a lot of these algorithms end up benefiting people who have controversial and extreme opinions. And it can lead to these pipelines, especially when a lot of the young men in his audience are probably at least partially socially isolated and oftentimes kind of run to the internet to find a sense of community and to find meaning and purpose and validation. And I know I've done the same thing. I found online transgender communities, and through that realized I was trans. And I think that in that case, maybe I'm biased, but that's a much healthier community in my opinion. And so it's scary to see someone else use that kind of community building capability of the internet to form a community around something a lot more sinister. In less than 3 months, the strategy has earned him a huge following online and potentially made him millions of pounds, with 127,000 members now paying the $39 a pound a month to join Hustlers University community, many of them men and boys from UK and US, which it's not a crazy number. I was expecting maybe more, but that's still a lot, especially for 39 pounds a month. I don't know what that is in dollars, but somewhat close to, and more than $30 a month, if not close to $40 a month still. That's a decent amount of money to be shelling out. Like, these are people that are really getting engaged with this content, and it's scary to see that he is able to extract this money out of his audience. And it's kind of sad to see. If you are one of his fans and you are paying for Hustlers University, I would stop immediately if I were you. Not even just because of the dangerous things that I think Andrew Tate says. I would just advise you to stop doing it because it's clearly, it's a lot of money for most people to be shelling out every month. And maybe you should just consider what sort of things you can buy instead of that, or what saving your money can do for you financially as well. Like if you are in financial trouble, then signing up for a $40 a month online course is, I don't think, the best way to solve that issue. Yet, despite much of the content appearing to break TikTok's rules, which explicitly ban misogyny and copycat accounts, the platform appears to have done little to limit Tate's spread or ban the accounts responsible. Instead, it has propelled him into the mainstream, allowing clips of him to proliferate and actively promoting them to young users. And again, this is just social media really in its infancy and not properly regulated, I think, possibly as well. Because unfortunately, TikTok benefits from people like Andrew Tate getting popular. They want people on their platform as much as they can. And under capitalism, they're going to prioritize making profits and getting more and more users to the platform rather than actually protecting those users, unfortunately. Raised on an estate in Luton, which I believe is in the UK, the son of a catering assistant and chess master, Tate has been making headlines for stirring controversy. Through his 20s, he worked as a TV producer while training as a kickboxer at a local gym, going on to fight professionally and win world titles. In 2016, his public-facing career appeared to be over when it had barely begun, when after being cast in Big Brother, he was ejected from the house over a video of him hitting a woman with a belt. Yeah, I think that's a pretty fair reason to kick someone off your show. Again, like, BDSM and consensual even hitting and stuff, I think is okay. But from what I've heard, it was very much not consensual and probably something you shouldn't do on a TV show anyway. Like, even if you were going to do that and even if you had consent, there's probably a better way to do that. But yeah, sounds like it wasn't good. And again, it's just straight up him being violent against women. A second video emerged shortly after in which he is shown telling a woman to count the bruises he apparently caused her. Both Tate and the woman denied any abuse occurred and said the clips showed consensual sex. So I don't know exactly the whole situation here. Sounds like there are a variety of things, but asking someone to count the bruises that they have from you, not a good sign. I don't think that, maybe I'm wrong, the BDSM community can tell me if I'm wrong, but usually you're not supposed to leave bruises. I think that this is definitely a telltale sign of abuse occurring, unfortunately. More controversy followed. Posts containing homophobic and racial slurs were found on his Twitter page. So great, he couldn't even stick to the misogyny. He's got to go after the gays and people of color too. Then in 2017, he was criticized by mental health charities for saying depression isn't real. Yeah, that's how you cure depression. Just say it's not real. Then it'll go away. And I think that's something really dangerous to have his audience be exposed to, actually. Because like I said, I get a sense that a lot of his audience is probably socially isolated in some way and probably feeling depressed and not being able to, quote unquote, pull women, especially with the toxic masculinity that we have in our world. That's definitely something that can get young men down. Before I realized I was trans, I was actually quite down about the fact that, I struggled to get any romantic partners, and I still do. But that just means that it's more dangerous to say something like depression isn't real when you have people in your audience likely suffering from depression and who probably need help, and not to be told that their struggles and miseries aren't real. The next month, he weighed in on Me Too, hashtag Me Too, saying women should bear the responsibility for being raped, a view he had repeated in which, among other incidents, led him to being barred from Twitter, which, good. Again, victim blaming just leads to more people being hurt, and it stops the rapists and attackers from getting caught as well, because it creates this culture of shame around coming out about a rape. And it makes it hard for people to speak up on these things, especially when, you know, it's a traumatic experience and it can be difficult to speak up anyway, no matter what. Even if we had like a perfectly healthy society that understood that, you know, we should listen to victims and, you know, take each claim as they are. But of course, when we victim blame, it just makes it harder for people to come forward. And again, leads to just more and more people getting hurt. The backlash won Tate work and boosted his profile. He appeared on InfoWars, the podcast of conspiracy theorist Alex Jones, was pictured with far-right YouTuber Paul Joseph Watson, and met Donald Trump Jr. at Trump Tower, posting on Facebook afterwards, "The Tate family support Trump fully, MAGA." Oh boy, as if it was any surprise that he was also a big Trump fan. Um, I don't think that I really have to mention anything about this. It's no surprise that people with these extremely misogynistic views that are okay with women being hurt and actively hurt women as well are also going to support politicians which try to take away women's rights and don't respect women themselves. In the UK, meanwhile, he mingled with arch Brexiter Nigel Farage. Farage? I don't know this man. Either way, Facebook photos show and spoke of ties with anti-Islam activist Stephen Yaxley Lennon, known as Tommy Robinson. Tate describes Yaxley Lennon in a podcast as a solid guy with a good heart, whom he has hung out with untold times. So yeah, great. I think it says a lot about a person based off of the people that you surround yourself with, and surrounding yourself with far-right YouTubers, conspiracy theorists, and anti-Islam activists, usually not a good thing. And saying that someone that is Islamophobic, presumably, has a good heart, tells me something about his ability to judge character for sure. In 2019, police were called after Tate showed up at the house of Mike Stuckbury, a journalist who had been critical of him online. Days after Yaxley Lennon did the same thing. Wow, he's really concerned about censorship now. It's wild to see how quickly these anti-cancel culture people will immediately turn on their principles, immediately turn on those principles and try to censor and shut down people criticizing them, which, again, free speech goes both ways. You might have the right to say whatever you want, but also that means that other people have a right to call you out. So the incidents caused Stuckbury's wife to suffer a panic attack and played a role in them leaving the UK for Germany, which, fair enough, that could be pretty traumatic to have someone just show up out of your house and start even threatening you or something like that. Long before his rise to fame, to TikTok fame, Tate's views on women were becoming clear. On Facebook in 2018, he bemoaned the decline of Western civilization after seeing a poster at Heathrow Airport encouraging girls to go on a holiday as opposed to encouraging being a loving mother and loyal wife. So again, these are all things that are tied to right-wing extremism, and misogyny can play into white supremacy quite easily and often does. So again, scary to see the sorts of pipelines that Andrew Tate and similar creators that might still be out there. He also openly discussed being accused of violence against several women, although he is not understood to have ultimately been charged with any offenses apart from a driving offense in 2018. If you have several women accusing you of violence and abuse, that's not a good sign. I have never been accused of violence. Obviously, I'm in a very different position, and I know that people are unjustly accused of violence. I'm not going to completely ignore that. But I'm just pointing out that when it's multiple women coming forward and trying to accuse you of being abusive, it's something that should, get the public to start to prick up their ears about and start to really consider if this person is violent. And when you look at his rhetoric as well, I don't think it would be very surprising, which again is why I wanted to cover this in a little bit more of a serious video, because I can go haha, funny, bad take, misogyny, but we also have to recognize that it leads to actual violence against people. It leads to people being hurt and psychologically tormented for the rest of their life. And we shouldn't gloss over that, and we shouldn't undermine it. And it shouldn't be just an anecdote. In another video, he says that he has been investigated by police for allegedly abusing a woman, which he denied, in a case where he had his house raided, devices confiscated, and was held in a cell for 2 days. Yeah, sounds like it was just totally not a real thing, and there wasn't any real evidence. That's why you had all of your devices confiscated and spent a couple nights in jail. Around the time UK police were investigating abuse allegations, Tate is understood to have left the UK for Romania. In one video explaining his reasons for moving, he suggests it was because it would be easier to evade rape charges. And yeah, I feel like that's, might as well write guilty across your forehead. Like, leaving one country to specifically to avoid rape charges and to another country that has less strict laws about these sorts of things, it's very damning, to say the least. I'll let you guys kind of fill in the rest. This is probably 40% of the reason he moved there, he says in one video, adding, "I'm not a rapist, but I like the idea of being..." Hold on. "I'm not a rapist, but..." There should be no but after that sentence. Please, never put yourself into a position where you have to say but after that sentence. If you have to say but after "I'm not a rapist," then you have done something wrong, and you probably should be in jail. "I'm not a rapist, but I like the idea of being able to do what I want. I like being free." God damn, that... Yeah. Again, is there any context where this is something okay to say? I don't think so. And again, this just points out that he clearly just values women less than men, because he is valuing his own freedom to do whatever he wants over a woman's freedom to not be raped and be able to do whatever she wants, which presumably does not include being non-consensually assaulted. Yet more allegations would follow. In January, the Daily Mirror reported that Tate and his brother Tristan were raking in millions from webcam sites where men hand over a fortune as they fall for models' fake sob stories, something they themselves described as a total scam. I kind of remember this, and again, this is just, actual exploitation of women, and people have thrown around the word sex trafficking, and I don't think that that's completely out of the realm of possibility. The sex work industry in general has just been so exploitative for a very long time, and sex workers deserve dignity, and I don't think it's an industry that's ever going to go away. And so we have to call out when that industry is being exploitative, and it can make things very dangerous for the people working in that industry as well. And I'm sad to hear that, more women got caught up in Andrew Tate's schemes and were hurt by it, or at least, were not properly compensated for what they were doing. Because I also know that Andrew Tate has talked about that he takes like over 50% of the earnings from these webcam actresses, and that's just plainly enough, robbing someone of their wages. So on top of that, on top of being a rapist, abuser, misogynistic, add a dirty capitalist on top of everything. Then in April, the brothers' mansion was raided by police following a tip-off from the U.S. Embassy that a 20-year-old American woman was being held against her will. The Tates were taken in for questioning before being released and denying wrongdoing. The Romanian authorities said last week that an investigation, later expanded to cover human trafficking and rape allegations, was ongoing. So yeah, like, this is enough that the Romanian government, which Andrew Tate himself admitted he moved to because they have more lax laws on rape and these sorts of things. Well, apparently not lax enough for Andrew Tate, because they are now investigating him for sex trafficking, rape, abuse, whatever else is going on. So yeah, horrible, horrible things. And I think that this person, at least from what we can see from the outside, deserves to be in prison probably forever. The posts do not come from Tate himself, who does not appear to be active on the platform, but from hundreds of accounts, often using his name and photo, run by his followers, members of Hustlers University. So not only is he not actually creating any of this content, he's getting his own fans to make the content for him. So again, profiting and benefiting from other people's labor seems to be another thing that he engages with regularly. Members, including boys as young as 13, are told they can earn up to £10,000 a month through lessons on crypto investing, drop shipping, and by recruiting others to Hustlers University, earning 48% commission for each person they refer. You get benefits from recruiting other people? So it would almost be like the people who start it recruit some people, and then those people are expected to recruit more people, and those people expect to recruit more people. This sounds somewhat familiar. It's almost like it creates some sort of pyramid shape. So yeah, add pyramid scheme and scamming again, very young, impressionable young men and boys to the list of horrible things that he's done. In one guide, Hustlers University students are told that attracting comments and controversy is the key to success. What you ideally want is a mix of 60 to 70% fans and 40 to 30% haters. You want arguments, you want war. I can say that pretty safely. I think that I would much rather just have fans that actually enjoy what I make and care about what I do. Obviously, Andrew Tate has very different priorities in terms of what he wants, which is money and fame, and he doesn't care how he gets it. And unfortunately, that's sort of benefited by the way that internet algorithms and the way that internet culture can work. Many Tate videos appear at first glance to be harmless, even funny. In his trademark straight-talking style, he derides men who drink tap water instead of sparkling water and people who own cats. What do you have against cats, dude? So, on top of everything else, which is far, far worse, this man hates cats. Like, come on. I feel like most people at this point have to be like, okay, that's too far. And also, like, sparkling water over tap water, what's wrong with you? I feel like, if anything, sparkling water would be the more feminine one, but okay. Other material is presented under a banner of male self-improvement, but much of it appears to meet the definition of hateful content set out in TikTok's community guidelines, which state that TikTok is inclusive and supportive and bans content that praises, promotes, glorifies, or supports any hateful ideology, including misogyny, which I think so far we've covered that Andrew Tate definitely is promoting those sorts of things. In one video posted from an account with Tate's name and face, he describes matter-of-factly how he expects his girlfriend to behave. I expect absolute loyalty from my women, he says. I ain't having my chicks talking to other dudes, liking other dudes. My chicks don't go to the club without me. They are at home. Again, just, justifying and normalizing the controlling of your spouses and partners' movements, nothing problematic about that. What could go wrong? Isolating your partner from their friends that could offer support and, point out that their boyfriend is abusive? Nah, we don't want that. Critics say his rise raises concerns about online misogyny and potential radicalization, with one woman online labeling him the scariest man on the internet. Another, seeking advice in a forum, described how her boyfriend's attitude and opinions changed dramatically after watching videos of Tate. And yeah, again, it feels like I'm just kind of repeating myself, but it's scary to, have someone, obviously just an anecdote, but have women actively seeing their boyfriend change and become more dangerous to them because of Andrew Tate. And that's what I was talking about earlier as well, is that a lot of these social media companies, they don't have the proper regulation to stop these sorts of things from happening. And they benefit and profit from people being controversial, and they don't care about the fact that their users could be hurt and hurt other people. Tate's rise also shows how TikTok's algorithm is open to manipulation by bad actors, says Caleb Hood, head of a research at the Center for Countering Digital Hate. The dangerous thing is that it is very eye-catching content, and TikTok's algorithm is so aggressive that you only need to pause a few moments before it will begin to recommend similar content to you again and again. He added, I'm thinking this is the researcher still, it's up to TikTok to be on the lookout for harmful content and manipulation of its platform. It begs the question, why haven't they noticed this? And why have they failed to act? And I think that's a good criticism. And what I would say, at least, is that, well, they're making money off of it. And I've said it again and again and again. They care more about profits and money than they do their users and the people in their users' lives. A spokesperson said misogyny and other hateful ideologies and behaviors are not tolerated on TikTok, and we are working to review the content and take action against violation of our guidelines. We continually look to strengthen our policies and enforcement strategies, including adding more safeguards to our recommendation system. And hopefully that does go into effect. Obviously, this backlash has at least allowed us to talk more about this situation and talk more about these things. And again, can hopefully push these companies to try to actually enforce their own regulations a little bit better. It did not comment on the videos of platform manipulation, but said users can click not interested on videos they dislike to hide future material from that particular account, which I feel like that doesn't exactly solve the issue. People that like Andrew Tate's stuff are not going to say they're not interested. It sounds like as well that he has so many accounts that blocking one account isn't going to necessarily solve the issue. Anyway, last sentence. Tate, whose content remained widespread on the platform this weekend, did not respond to requests for comment. Obviously, I'm going to guess he probably does not want to be involved with this. But anyway, a great article. Thank you, Shanti Das. I think she covered both the, violent and actually very terrifying side of Andrew Tate, while also having a good conversation about, what social media has to do and how it has to adapt in order to stop these sorts of things from happening again. Because clearly it can lead to people being dangerous to their partners, and it can lead to, people who are vulnerable also getting caught up in something that can hurt their own lives. And, there's just definitely a lot of harm that can come from this kind of rhetoric, and I definitely think that we need to have a conversation and try to build up as well cultural and social structures which help people from falling into these radicalization circles. So many people nowadays are isolated and find community through the internet. Even I did, as I said, and we have to be careful about the power that can have. And so it's a complicated situation. I'm glad that the Andrew Tate stuff is dying out. But unfortunately, there's also going to be still a large population of largely young men, largely vulnerable young men, finding his content. And again, that just repeats the cycle of abuse, repeats misogyny being spread throughout our culture. And it's not good. It's not good for anyone involved. It's not good for the men who fall victim to this, and obviously not good to the women who are affected by it. So anyway, this went on a lot longer than I was expecting. I'll probably have to cut it down a bit. But if you did enjoy this video, I know that it was more serious and probably not as entertaining. Hopefully you could still learn something, and we can engage in a good conversation about, how to stop these sort of things from happening again. And, maybe also check in with some of your friends out there. You never know who might end up finding a few of these videos and end up, falling down the rabbit hole and falling so far that you can't save them really anymore. So, check in with your friends, especially if you know someone that's been sort of isolated. Check in with them and have a conversation with them and show them some kindness and show them some love. And hopefully we can, little by little, stop people from radicalization, becoming radical in this sort of way. And hell, maybe even radicalize them in a more productive way to fight against the system's oppression instead of defend them. Anyway, that's the end of the video. I do hope you enjoyed in some extent. Again, thank you to Shanti Das. I'm not sure if I pronounced your name correctly, but thank you for writing this article that we responded to. And yeah, I hope that everyone out there watching, thank you for watching. I hope that you have a great day and an awesome night, and I will see you in the next video. Have a good one.